picking up from where my colleague stopped. She talked about the law, and I'm going to be talking about prophets. Prophets are divided into two. We have major prophets and we have minor prophets. They are classified depending on the size of the book. With that said, I would like to continue and talk about the role of prophets in Israel community. The prophets were there to enforce the covenant between God and his people. The covenant was dependent upon the law. So whenever the Israelites violated or broke the law of God, then God raised up prophets. The prophets were there to remind the people that they had violated the law of God, and there were consequences to that. So the purpose of the prophets saying that, it was to have the people repent. So if the people repented, then the covenant would be enforced. So that means that the message that the prophets spoke wasn't their own message. It was a message from God. They spoke as God's representative. And they're not teaching something new. It wasn't a new theology. It wasn't a new doctrine. They were just emphasizing Mosaic laws. Though the wording was different, but it was still the same thing. When you look at the nature of prophets, they are complicated. So for a reader like us, we contemporary readers, to understand prophets, we need some external help. Some of the helps that we can use for us to fully understand prophets, we can use handbooks, Bible dictionaries, we can also use commentaries. Lastly, what do we learn from the prophets? We as New Covenant Christians, we as New Covenant believers, we as contemporary readers, what do we learn from prophets? The prophets emphasized the importance between the right belief and the right living. God still expects the same thing from us today, Christians. When you read Romans, Paul starts by introducing sound theology. He tells them what God had done for believers through Jesus Christ. When he came to chapter 12, he said, now that God has done for us, now that I've presented theology, what's your expectation? Now offer your bodies as a living sacrifice. Lastly, we also learn how God is determined to enforce his law. Whenever the Israelites broke the law of God and thus violated the covenant between him and his people, God always punished them. There was always consequences. So even us today, if we violate the laws of God, though the laws are different, but if we violate them, there are always consequences, both in this life and the life which is to come. There are also blessings if we keep the covenant of God, if we keep the laws of God, not only in this life, but in the life to come. God bless.